Hi everyone, and welcome back to the University. Today we have part 2 of 3 of day 15 of trial. This is the first full day of trial. We already saw the opening statements, and now we move on to some information about limiting instructions regarding the prior bad acts, and then we move on to the prosecutor, beginning with testimony of one of the victims. And next part will be Raymond Davis doing cross examination of that victim. I hope you enjoy.
All right. So, can the phrase of question in regards to timing?
I'll let you get started, you all right?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 12:30. I know you've been here since around between 9:30 and 10, some of you. So I'm sure you're a little bit hungry by now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our lunch break, and we'll give you an hour, and then we'll start with witnesses for the rest of the day. So, during the recess, you're admonished not to talk or converse among yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected to this trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial of any person connected with this trial, or any medium of information, including without limitation to newspapers, television, the internet, and radio, or form or express any opinion on any subject connected with the trial until the case is finally submitted to you. Thank you, and I will see you outside the front doors at 1:30, please. Thank you.
All rise for the exit of the jury.
All right, so we are outside the presence of the jury. One thing that we were talking about, and Mr. Davis, I wanted to let you know, we're talking about what's referred to as the Tavares instruction. And so you remember that pursuant to my previous ruling, what's referred to as other bad acts are coming in, right? Those
Right.
other two girls are coming in. So what the law says is you are entitled to what's referred to as a limiting instruction. And the limiting instruction, I'm going to provide you guys with some paperwork in a moment, but the limiting instruction basically tells the jury, hey, you're going to hear some evidence that's not charged in this case. You can't just hear that and say, oh, Mr. Davis is a bad guy. Okay? What the instruction would say is, evidence that the defendant committed offenses other than for those for which he is on trial for, if believed, was not received and may not be considered by you to prove that he is a person of bad character. However, in a criminal prosecution for a sexual offense, you may consider prior sexual bad acts for propensity purposes. You must weigh this evidence in the same manner as you do all other evidence in this case. So that's the limiting instruction that the jury receives, so that they know, hey, you can't just use this and hear it and say, oh, he's a bad guy. It's up to you, though, whether or not you want that instruction to be given. Some people want it to be given, and some people think it draws extra attention to it.
I might get it.
You want it given. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do, Ms. Collins, Mr. Davis, and Mr. Klaus, is the Franks case. If you remember, prior bad acts used to only come in under 48, is it 045 or 035? I can't remember off the top of my head. What is it? Yeah, they used to come in under 4805 section 2, where you would need a Petrocelli hearing, and it could be for like motive, intent, lack of mistake or accident. When the legislature changed in 2015, it allowed this to come in basically it added section 3, which was then interpreted by the Franks decision, 432 P3D 752. And what Frank says, is, if I could just read it, so I want to make sure we're all on the same page. But it says, before admitting evidence of a prior bad act pursuant to NRS 480452, this court determined that the district court must hold a Petrocelli hearing outside the presence of the jury to determine that 1, the prior bad act is relevant to the crime charged and for a purpose other than proving the defendant's propensity, 2, the act is proven by clear and convincing evidence, and 3, the probative value of the evidence is not substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. As discussed, however, NRS 480453 unambiguously removed prior sexual acts from the previous NRS 480452's ban on propensity evidence. Therefore, the Petrocelli framework established for admitting evidence of a prior act for purposes other than propensity is not applicable in cases where the state seeks to present evidence of separate acts constituting sexual offenses for purposes of showing propensity in a current sexual offense prosecution. So basically what I'm saying is we used to use the Tavares instruction that said you can't consider this for propensity purposes. But with NRS 480453, the Frank's decision completely changed that. So the normal Tavares instruction that we would give is not applicable for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's not the state of the law anymore, and number 2, we didn't have a Petrocelli hearing because Ms. Collins has never said, "Hey, I'm admitting this for." We had a hearing in regards to. Because I said, hey, Frank's doesn't say we need a hearing. I said, we'll have that because, so I guess I should start with this. Ms. Collins, was it your, I apologize if I got this wrong. I always thought it was your intention to bring it in under 0453 for propensity purposes.
It was, and I agree that Frank's doesn't require a hearing. I just think in some of these cases, it's a cleaner process to have a record of that before it gets in front of the jury. So I understand that the Petrocelli is not required, but that was state's preference.
Right, so I guess what I'm asking you though is the Petrocelli hearing is required when you're, and you have to meet those 3 prongs, when you're trying to do it for motive, intent, lack of mistake, or accident.
Correct.
It was my understanding that that's not what you were doing. You were doing it for propensity purposes, and we were just having a hearing out of the abundance of the caution so I could understand the acts and make that relevant, make the determination.
Correct, and my motion did not request it for any other purpose, Your Honor, other than propensity. I didn't do it under the other factors.
Okay, so which brings me back to the normal Tavares instruction that would say you are only to consider this for intent, motive. That would no longer be applicable because that's not the reason it's being offered. It's for propensity purposes. Thus, the instruction that I was discussing with you all, evidence that the defendant committed offenses other than that for which he is on trial, if believed, was not received and may not be considered by you to prove that he is a person of bad character. However, in a criminal prosecution for a sexual offense, you may consider prior sexual acts for propensity purposes. You must weigh this evidence in the same manner as you do all other evidence in this case. So basically just explaining why we're not doing the motive, intent, other bad act language, because it's not appropriate in this case.
But her whole argument was the bad acts. The whole motion that she put in was the bad acts motion.
Yeah,
so
no.
Basically,
Go ahead.
Your Honor.
No, so what I'm saying is she's not saying they're not bad acts, but you can admit bad acts for many different reasons.
Yeah, and now she's saying prescriptive, whatever she said.
Propensity.
But propensity. So that basically throws out her motion to put in the bad acts, which is what she got approved on the motion.
Right, no,
But
so
now we're
propensity
saying propensity
is a bad act. So there's motive, intent, lack of mistake or accident, there's a couple of them, and then propensity is one of the other ones.
Yeah, yeah.
So she's adding it for the subsection 3, the propensity, yes.
I'm going to need some kind of electronic device. You promised me, and I don't have any electronic devices to get my emailed stuff that I need for this trial.
What emails do you need?
Well, with my standby attorney, he sends me like basically law codes and stuff like that. He sends it to me, and plus I need to contact my witnesses because I could be, if we make it, I could be bringing up a witness to
Oh,
this.
no, so we're not going to get to your witnesses until far into next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but in regards to your phone, if you need to research any laws or any statutes. Mr. Klaus has his iPad. I can't do anything about your phone right now, sir, because you're in custody and I don't have any access to it. But if you need case law or statutes, Mr. Klaus would be happy to help you.
Your Honor, I think having my own electronic device.
Sir, no one in custody ever, there's no law that says you get an electronic device. No one in custody ever has an electronic device. If you need something, your standby counsel can help you.
You afforded me one, Your Honor.
I afforded you what?
You afforded me a phone. You told me.
No, I said if we need to get specific numbers off your phone to provide for the witnesses,
I misspoken now. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
So,
All right. Go ahead.
his tablet, I can look at his tablet and
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna have control over it, but if you'd like to read the Frank's decision, that would be fine. Mr. Klaus, do you have the do you have the site that I gave? Or would you like it? Okay, wonderful.
Yes, that's why I was asking for my phone, because I don't want to, it's his iPad, which is nice.
Yeah.
Some
Okay.
people don't like you using their iPads.
So that's great, we'll have all that, and then, and you would like that instruction that I've read now twice, you would like that read anytime we're gonna get into any what's referred to as bad act evidence?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and it'll also be part of the final jury instructions as well.
Your Honor, can I actually get the order of her witnesses? Or I like to know so I don't have to go through.
So that's between the two of you, I don't get involved in that, I can't order her to do that, but that's between the two of you. I mean, I think she's already said who she's calling today.
I don't want to ambush,
You mean you don't want to be ambushed?
Yeah, I don't want to be ambushed.
Okay, so that, I'll let you guys decide all that off of the record. Is there anything else?
Vanessa Robinson, sir?
Okay, all right, you guys, I'll see you at 1:30.
I thought she said Vanessa was coming.
Yeah, and then second was coming,
Oh, second one is Haley?
if we get to her.
Stacy is just waiting for an later.
Oh, okay. What'd you say?
She must have gone to the restroom.
Oh, Crystal said that she emailed up and said, or called up and said, I'm stuck waiting for an elevator.
Oh.
And we're on the record. So we'll just wait for her. Alrighty, we are back on the record in C-342946, State of Nevada versus Mr. Raymond Davis, who's present in custody. Mr. Klaus Standby Counsel, who's present. Chief Deputy District Attorney Stacey Collins is also present. Okay, you guys, I just want to go through a few housekeeping matters. So in front of you, at your desk, should be the instructions that we were talking about. I changed the first matter because it needs to say you are about to hear evidence pertaining to, so I changed that. Otherwise, I believe it is in complete compliance with both the statute as well as Frank's. And then we obviously can talk about jury instructions at a later date, but this would be the jury instruction that would be given at the very end when we give them all of the law. So I just wanted to give you guys a copy of that. Of course, if you feel like tweaks are in regards to the jury instruction to be given to them, if you feel tweaks are appropriate, we can consider that at the time. But I did speak with Mr. Davis beforehand, and he stated he did want a limiting instruction to be given to them that tells them, hey, you can't consider this to say that he's a person of bad character. So I took care of that. We have been in constant communication with the house arrest or electronic monitoring, whoever it is. So we've been going back and forth with them, explaining to them how you were remanded yesterday, because of the mental evaluation that you had requested, but that you were released this morning to be placed in the exact same conditions that you were in before you got here. You should be returned to the exact same position you were in before you were remanded for the mental health evaluation.
Yeah, because I was talking to one of the officers, and he said they house arrest you, they violated you. And I said, I don't know how they would violate me, because I didn't never do anything wrong.
Okay. Well, I'll make clear, because no,
Yeah,
you did not
right,
do
so
any violation. And look,
it's on the ID sheet too. They put it on there. The
Okay.
officers have it. It says violated house arrest. That means I broke the law, which I didn't.
or not that you broke the law, but that you violated
I
the
violated,
rules or
yeah,
procedures.
yeah. So
Okay.
I was really worried about that, because that gives me the look of a guy that's breaking rules that said that they. When they give me a list of rules, I put that on my refrigerator. I follow every rule for house arrest. I would never.
No, I get it.
Right.
And I'm putting clear on this record right now that I made no finding that Mr. Davis was in violation of house arrest at all. Yesterday, he stated that he wanted an independent mental evaluation because the stresses of the trial
Right.
and some of my rulings were very frustrating to him, which is fine, and I get it, causing him stress. And then he wanted to see a doctor, and the only part that brought me concern was when you stated that, you had gotten to the point where you were so frustrated or so stressed that dangerous things were coming to your mind, and that you had gotten so frustrated. At first you said you were physical, and then you, at the doctor's, at the behavioral center, and then you backed out then and said, I wasn't physical, but I raised my voice.
Right, I raised my.
So at that point in time, I felt it appropriate, because of what you were explaining, to have you go in and to have the mental evaluation done that you had requested. I recognize you requested to do it out of custody, but I thought in custody. I had the nurse practitioner, the psych nurse practitioner, see you, and we talked about those findings. But I guess while we're talking about this, there is a difference to me in regards to a mental evaluation and competency. So I didn't feel like you were in any way incompetent. And when I use that term, is what I mean is like you don't know what's going on. You can't actively participate in this process. That's not what my concern was. I watched you with the jury. I thought you were very effective in issue spotting and going back and forth with jurors. It was what you were stating in regards to your frustrations, and you talked about you're an emotional person because of some very traumatic things that happened to you as a young child, which, as we all know, post-traumatic stress disorder, if that's what someone has, it's real. And so when they get in stressful situations, those things obviously start to compound.
Right. So yes, Your Honor.
But sorry, is everything I'm saying, is that
Yes,
your recollection?
yes,
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I'm talking about in this case is, this is such a severe case that when I'm remanded for custody and taking downstairs without my legal stuff, and then I have to get up at 8 this morning and come in and get prepared for court, I think it really hindered my ability to defend myself, because the DA obviously had all her stuff with her at night preparing for this case.
But let me stop you there, because actually this was all supposed to start yesterday morning at 9:30,
Right.
which is before any of that happened. So you actually should be already prepared, because where we are right now is where we were before you ever were put into custody.
Right, Your Honor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a DA, but I think the night before preparation, well, I am a poker player, so I rather prepare the night before to make sure I'm still sharp and catch all my notes. Today I'm not as sharp as I could have been if I was at home doing my work. All my stuff is scribbled up, everything's just thrown there. When they take me in back, I cannot even work because I'm cuffed. So I cannot even do work on break. I think this has hindered my ability to have a fair trial. I ask this court to dismiss this case on those grounds that I have been unbiasedly, this case has been prejudiced against me, and I do not feel like I'm doing the best job possible because of the simple fact I've been in lockup, and not only have I been in lockup, I've been sleeping on a metal bench for 12 hours, no blanket, no pillow, room full of people, no access to phones. All my thing was no phones for him.
So you didn't make any phone calls?
I didn't make one, wasn't allowed to. I didn't get access to one.
So you're telling me right now, you did not make one phone call?
I did not get to work. What was my booking?
No, that's not what I asked you, because I'm not a dummy. I know people make numbers from other inmates.
It was one inmate that let me make 1 or 2 calls.
So you were able to make
Right.
phone calls? Okay.
1 or 2 calls. He got upset and wouldn't let me call. But if I had my booking number, which I wasn't provided a booking number, the officer said politely, Mr. Davis, we can't do anything for you. So, in essence, I was basically denied my right for a fair trial because of this court. Basically stripped me of my ability to look over my notes at night, to make my points, to highlight things, that stuff that I do at home. And then, this is the mess I get because I can no longer use my binders. And when I was out of custody, I could use my phone. He could send me notes.
Okay.
Now,
Well, I understand the record that you're making. Ms. Collins, anything to add, ma'am?
I do, Your Honor. Everything that happened yesterday was by defendant's request. He requested a mental evaluation. He was under house arrest. The court took the appropriate action to make sure that he was of the right mental state to receive a trial. I understand he's saying he was deprived of his belongings. That has not deprived him of a fair trial. The trial's not over yet. We are mid-trial. There are a lot of things that can be done to accommodate his request to prepare. I have this suggestion for the court. I know that this has been a little bit protracted, but perhaps we can put Ms. Robinson up today, let her do her direct, and then let Mr. Davis go and organize his notes and his thoughts, and we can bring her back on Monday for cross. I'm not trying to delay this, but I certainly don't want any record that we have precluded him access to his notes. And that's the state's position. That's just a suggestion to the court of how to remedy that, because then he can't complain that a fair trial has been deprived of him because he hasn't had adequate time to prepare for cross-examination. I don't disagree with the court that he should have been prepared for this yesterday, but with that record made, I'll submit that.
Your Honor, if you recall, yesterday that I said I had no problem going to a hospital and paying for my own treatment and coming directly back to court. Obviously, the ankle bracelet was still on me. I had no issue of going, paying whatever they want to get myself evaluated, coming back to court. When you gave me, brought me in, I didn't mind because I figured I was going to be evaluated. You get your diagnosis, right? I come back to court because the doctor showed up fairly. The officers did a great job. Officer Kelly did an unbelievable job of getting me through booking super fast. Another officer got me to the holding cell, and he says, Mr. Davis, we'll get you back up there. Little did I know that I would be stuck in a holding cell.
But I told you we wouldn't be coming back till 10 a.m. tomorrow, the following morning.
Right, yeah, I understand that, Your Honor, but I'm thinking after the doctor seeing me that I will be released. This is my thought that, okay, I saw the doctor, now I can go home with my stuff, do my notes, come back at 10 o'clock in the morning. It didn't work that way. It worked, I'm sleep deprived.
Okay, so what we're going to do, I understand the record that you're making. What we're going to do is we're going to continue trial, we're going to do the direct examination of the victim, and then I'm going to ask the parties to approach and we'll see where we go from there. All right, so we're going to do the direct examination direct examination, which means Ms. Collins is going to start her questioning, and then before you start your questioning, we'll approach and go over a few things and see where everybody's at.
Right, I agree, but, Your Honor, I'm not gonna need to approach, because when she's done her direct, I wanna do my cross. I'm not gonna, I don't need that break. I wanna finish. I don't want her to get off the stand after her direct and then come back Monday and I do my cross. I want it fresh in the jury minds when I do my cross-examination. So
Then that's.
I have no problem, then you stop the procedure after that, because she's gonna be on there for like maybe 3-4 hours.
Okay,
So,
all right, however you wish. Yes.
So what he's saying now is he has not been deprived of preparation, that he's ready to proceed forward after my direct examination, that all the things that he complained about last evening, about sleeping on a metal bed and being in handcuffs in the rear of the department, being taken downstairs, not being evaluated in the time frame that he thought was appropriate, all those things no longer have contributed to his inability to be prepared for today. Is that correct?
I think he's made a clear record that he wishes there to be no break and for him to have an opportunity to cross-examine the victim today.
Your Honor, it's strategic, because
I get it.
I'm a poker player. We play tournaments. We play 12 hours, 13 hours straight.
Sure.
We don't stop.
Okay.
Right here and there.
If you want to do
So-
that's your right. I got you.
I don't want her to strategically go home. I want her, that testimony that she's going to provide, fresh in the juror's mind, and then I want to make sure that I get my stuff in their mind too. Not witness on the stand, witness take a weekend break, come back.
Okay. Understood.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, Officer Kelly, please bring them in. Could the parties just remind me before another bad act evidence witness gets on the stand that I need to do the instruction?
Yes, ma'am.
All rise for the entrance of the jury. All members of the jury are present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're on record in C-342-946. State Nevada versus Mr. Davis. He's present. Mr. Klaus, on his behalf, in regards to standby counsel, Chief Deputy District Attorney Stacey Collins is also present on behalf of the state. Do both parties stipulate to the presence of the jury?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davis, do you stipulate to the presence of the jury?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Collins, this is your case in chief. Call your first witness, please.
State Close Vanessa Robinson.
What's your step? Remain standing and face the plate.
Please raise your right hand. Repeat. You do solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Please be seated. Could you please state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Vanessa Robinson, Vanessa, V-A-N-E-S-S-A, Robinson, R-O-B-I-N-S-O-N.
Thank you.
Ms. Collins, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Vanessa.
Hi.
Thank you for waiting for us for a while. How old are you today?
18,
And where are you from?
Las Vegas, Nevada.
What is your birthday?
01/25/2001.
January 25th of 2001? Is that a yes?
Yes.
They're recording, much like before, everything that we're saying today, so we can't nod our head. Do you remember those instructions from before?
Yes.
I'm going to have, with the court's permission, show you what's been marked as State's Proposed Exhibit 1. it purports to reflect a chart of your ages and the years.
I think it's right there, honey, right?
It's right on the sticker.
Oh, it's not admitted.
It's not, I said proposed.
Yes, I know, he was looking for the sticker.
Okay.
Okay, does it say proposed exhibit number 1 on that?
It does.
And then Marshall Kelly, would you please approach to the witness? And then if you might mind moving that podium, so it's not in between everybody. Yeah, thank you very much. All right, sorry for that disruption, Ms. Collins, go ahead.
Having you take a look at State's proposed exhibit 1, do you recognize your birthday in the top left of that?
Yes.
So the January 25th of 2001, the day you were born?
Yes.
And so that would reflect on that day you were 0 years old, correct?
Yes.
And then all the way up through 2019 where you turned 18.
Yes.
Does that accurately reflect what age you turned every year?
Yes.
State would move for the admission of 1.
Mr. Davis, any objections, sir?
No.
Okay,
Oh, no.
that will be admitted.
Vanessa, where did you grow up here in Vegas?
I grew up like the streets,
What do you mean by that?
like the crossing streets. And I grew up on the east side of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay. And who did you live with when you grew up in Las Vegas?
My mom.
Did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a little brother.
You have a what?
A little brother. A younger brother.
When you were in middle school, so I'm talking 11, 12, 13 years old, were you always doing the right thing?
No.
Were you going to school?
Yes.
Did you get in some trouble when you were that age?
Yes.
Can you tell me just a little bit about when you got in trouble and what happened when you got in trouble?
I got in trouble around the age 13. Well, yes, 13. I had got into some trouble with some friends and got put on probation.
Did your mom know about that?
Yes.
What do you do now?
Now, I work in McDonald's right now, currently. I'm a college student and a soon-to-be mom.
Is that a yes?
Yes,
What year are you in college now?
my freshman year.
And where do you go?
I go to CSN,
What are you studying?
biology.
Any of the trouble that you got in at 13, you got in any of that kind of trouble as an adult?
No,
Who do you live with now?
my mom.
Is your relationship with your mom the same or different from when you were 13 and getting in trouble?
Different.
How is it different?
We're closer.
How was your relationship when you were 13?
It wasn't really that good.
Tell me what about it wasn't good.
We would always argue. I would talk back to her, things of that nature.
You said you got in trouble with friends that you were hanging around at that age.
Yes.
Do you hang around the same kind of element now?
No.
Did you smoke pot at that age?
Yes.
Did you, sorry, did you meet someone when you were 13 years old that you see here in court today?
Yes.
Who is that person and what are they wearing right now in court?
Raymond Davis, and he's wearing a blue shirt.
May the record reflect identification of the defendant.
It shall.
When did you meet him?
I met him when I was 13 years old.
Object, Your Honor. Can you give the months, please?
So,
Or
Mr.
the year?
Davis,
I mean, the year, not the months, just the year. It's fine.
so Mr. Davis, you definitely have the opportunity to ask those questions on cross-examination, but for now, Ms. Collins is asking the questions, so
Oh.
that's assisting. If that is overruled.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
So that age chart that we just looked at, you would have turned 13 in January of 2014. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And were you going to school then?
Yes.
Where were you headed? Where were you attending school?
Delich Robinson.
I'm sorry?
Delich Robinson, middle school.
And what grade were you in?
I was in 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade.
7th or 8th grade?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I asked you if you saw somebody in court that you met when you were 13, and you indicated the defendant. Is that right?
Yes.
What was the first contact you had with him?
It was through Facebook.
And is that because you were friends on Facebook, or was something different?
I don't really recall. I don't recall how the messages started, or I remember what happened, but I don't remember like how we got into contact. I know it was through Facebook.
At that time, was Mr. Davis somebody that you knew through your family?
No,
Was he somebody that any of your friends introduced you to?
no,
Okay, so at the time that you met him through Facebook, was he a stranger or somebody you knew?
a stranger.
Okay. And do you remember who started the conversation?
Yes,
Who was that?
Raymond.
Do you remember, was it still during the school year when you were 13, or was it after that?
It was around like the school year ending, like towards the summer.
Okay, so when you were in middle school, would school usually end May, June?
Yes,
And again, this is the year you're 13, so we're talking 2014.
yes.
Do you remember what the first conversation was from this person that you didn't know?
It was about making money.
Making money doing, is that a yes?
Yes,
Making money doing what?
cleaning his apartment.
And did you work at 13 years old?
No, I did not.
Did you have any way to generate money when you were 13?
No, I didn't.
Did your mom give you allowance?
No,
Was your mom in a financial position to give you a lot of money at that time in your
No.
life? Was your mom a single mom at that time?
yes.
So when he talked to you about making money, what were you supposed to do to make that money?
Clean his apartment.
Is cleaning apartments or cleaning houses, any odd jobs like that, anything that you'd ever done at 13 years old?
No,
Have you ever responded to any communications like that before when you were 13?
no,
Had you ever, I don't know, worked for neighbors or babysat or anything, looked before it all outside your house?
no.
What did you think about making money cleaning somebody's house when you were 13?
I didn't think it was anything, cleaning someone's house. It was just cleaning someone's house.
Did you think it truly meant cleaning someone's house?
Yes,
Did you tell your mom that you had received an offer to clean a house for money?
no,
Did you tell anybody?
no.
Did you respond back to Mr. Davis?
Yes.
What did you tell him?
I said yes. Well, he said, would you like to make money? I said, how? He said, by cleaning my house. I said, okay, so how do we go about this, And that's when we met up at Fat Burger by his house. And we went to his apartment. And it had nothing to do with cleaning his house. It turned into sexual favors for money.
Gave you a lot of information, so I'm going to back you up.
Okay.
You said you met at a Fat Burger?
Yes.
And where is that Fat Burger?
On Vegas Valley in Ellis.
Okay, how did you get to that Fat Burger?
I walked.
Was that far from your house?
No.
When you went to that Fat Burger, did you go with anyone or did you go alone?
I went alone.
Okay, how about Mr. Davis? Was he with someone or was he alone?
He was alone.
Do you recall telling police officers a while back when you interviewed that perhaps he was with someone else, another young woman? Do you remember saying that?
Yes, I remember another young lady being at his apartment, but I don't remember meeting up with him and another girl.
So your testimony is he was always alone at the Fat Burger?
Yes.
And when you got to Fat Burger, what happened at Fat Burger?
We talked, and then we walked to his apartment.
How many days after the first communication about cleaning his apartment to Fat Burger, how many days in between?
I believe it was the same day.
And then you said you walked to his apartment,
Yes.
and you walked with Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Where is his apartment?
On Vegas Valley in Ellis.
Okay, is that here in Las Vegas, Clark County, Nevada?
Yes.
That apartment, was it upstairs, downstairs, do you remember?
It was upstairs.
When you get to the apartment, is there anyone else there?
No.
Tell me about the apartment. Tell me what it looked like inside.
There's a lot of plants, statues, pictures, a big TV. The theme of the apartment was red.
Were there any other adults or anyone present?
No, not that I can recall.
Did, when you got to Mr. Davis's apartment, was it daytime or nighttime?
It was daytime.
So the conversation at Fatburger and leading up through you walking and getting to his apartment, did you talk about house cleaning or what did you talk about?
I don't really recall.
Did you have any concerns at 13 years old going there by yourself?
No.
What did he seem like to you at the time?
I don't really know. All I know is that I was going to his house to clean his house for money, that's all.
Well, and what I'm asking, was there anything about you that scared you? Or
No.
was there anything about him that made you feel nervous?
No.
Had he been nice to you or not so nice to you in the time at Fatburger and walking to his apartment?
He was nice.
But you don't remember what you talked about?
No.
As you sit there today, did anything you talked about scare you or make you want to leave or up to the point of getting to his apartment?
No, not that I can recall.
Did you have any talk about sex between the Fatburger and the apartment?
No, not until we got into the apartment.
When you got into the apartment, where did you go inside the apartment?
I didn't sit down or anything. I was just standing by the door.
Okay, so you stood by the door, and what's the very first thing that happened?
He just started showing me his statues and like his stuff that he had in his apartment. All I really remember is when it got down to the sexual favors, where he said, if you take care of me, I'll take care of you. And I'm just like, what do you mean? And he's like, touching my leg and stuff like that.
So he's showing you statues. Are those in the living room area?
Yes.
And you're still standing up while that's happening?
Yes, part of it, and then the next part I'm sitting down on the couch.
So you mentioned that he's touching your leg. What's he talking? Is that he asked?
Yes.
What's he talking to you about when he's touching your leg?
That's what he said, if you take care of me, I'll take care of you.
And did you know what he meant by that?
Not exactly.
What did you think he meant?
I didn't know.
Is that a situation you had ever been in?
No.
When did you understand what "I'll take care of you if you take care of me" meant? When did that kind of become clear?
When he had placed my hand on his private area.
And what did he use to place your hand on his private area?
His hand.
Were you seated and he was seated, or?
Yes.
And what were you seated on?
A couch.
After he placed your hand on his private part, and you mean his penis?
Yes.
After he placed your hand on his penis, what's the very next thing that happened?
Then I got the idea of what he wanted me to do, and then I did.
Did he tell you what taking care of you would be?
Giving me money.
Did he tell you how much money?
No.
Was there any more discussion about cleaning house for money?
No.
What's the very next thing that happened?
I gave him oral sex for money.
And by oral sex, you mean what?
My mouth on his penis.
Was that something you wanted to happen?
No.
Why did you do that?
Because I wanted the money.
Your Facebook profile at that time, did it talk about what area of town you lived in?
No, that I can recall.
What was in your Facebook profile?
Just pictures, me and my friends.
Any pictures from school?
I don't think so.
Did Mr. Davis ask you how old you
No.
Did, when he gave you oral sex, or when you gave him oral sex, did he ejaculate?
Yes.
Where did he ejaculate?
In his lap.
In his
Or on a
lap.
napkin.
What happened after he ejaculated?
He cleaned himself up and then he gave me money.
Do you remember how much money?
It was about $40 to $50.
Did you have any discussion with him about whether or not it was okay to tell anyone about what had happened?
Yes.
Can you tell me that?
He said, just don't tell anybody, this is between me and you.
Did he say what would happen if you told someone?
No.
Did he say why not to tell?
No.
Did you want to tell anyone at that time?
No.
Did you want anyone to know, your mom or your friends or anyone?
No.
Why not?
After the whole thing happened, you know, I walked out the door and I had these like strange feelings, like I was scared, but I didn't know like why. It was weird, I don't know.
Have you done a lot of growing up since you were 13?
Yes.
In hindsight, is that a decision you would have made again?
No.
After that day, did you speak to Mr. Davis again?
Yes.
And how is it that you spoke to Mr. Davis again?
I went over to his apartment.
Was there any communication before you went to his apartment, or did you just...
Probably, but I can't recall.
How would you usually communicate with him?
Through Facebook.
Facebook has a messenger app, is that correct?
Yes.
Is that how you would talk to him?
Excuse me, yes.
How long after the first time was the next time that you went over there?
Maybe a week later. I don't really recall like exact times, but I just remember going over there.
So let me stop you right there. Did this happen a lot, that you went over to Mr. Davis's house?
On several occasions, yes.
Okay. And you think the next time was about a week?
Yes.
Was there communication through Facebook, or you don't remember?
I don't recall.
Do you recall whether or not you just showed up over there on your own?
Yes, I went over there on my own.
Excuse me?
Yes, I went over there on my own.
And maybe that was a bad question. You didn't just show up without some previous communication that you were coming over. You didn't just show up and start knocking on his door by yourself, like, hey, I'm here.
I mean, after a while, yes.
But we're just talking about this time.
Okay.
Was there any communication, either by a phone call or something, that you knew that that was the day and time to go over there? Is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Okay. And what was that? Do you know?
Facebook.
Facebook? Okay.
I object. John, can you repeat that so I didn't understand what you mumbled through
Could you just repeat the question?
about the way she communicated at times.
That I mumbled or the witness mumbled?
Your question, your last question. I just want to hear it. I didn't hear it.
Ms. Robinson, the next time you went over there that you said was about a week later, did you speak to Mr. Davis between the first time you went over there and the second time you went over there?
Yes.
And how do you think you spoke with him?
Through Facebook.
Do you have any reason to believe it was any different means of communication?
No.
And what was the last part of that?
Do you have any reason to believe it was a different means of communication?
Okay, thank you.
And the answer was no. Go ahead.
Tell me what happened the second time you got over there.
The second time it was the same thing. I gave him oral sex for money. This time there was a girl there, and she was showing me how I should give him oral head because I don't know if I was doing it right, but he said this is how you should do it. And yeah.
Okay. A lot of information. So you said there was another girl there. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, was she there when you arrived?
Yes.
And when you say girl, do you mean somebody close to your age, or do you mean a grown woman, or something in between?
She looked young. She wasn't grown.
So, how is it that she came to give you instruction on how to give oral sex?
He just telling me like, oh, I don't think you're doing it right. This is how you should do it. And I watched her give him oral sex.
So, when you say he, you're saying Mr. Davis told you you're not doing it correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And then you watched this female give him oral sex?
Yes.
Do you remember her name?
No.
Was she white, Hispanic, African American?
She looked mixed, with curly hair, skinny.
And when you say mixed, what do you mean?
Like biracial, like probably black and something else, I don't know.
And the oral, when she was giving Mr. Davis oral sex, was that, what room of the house are we talking about?
The living room.
Did you have any indication that that person lived with him?
No.
So, when, after she gives him oral sex, what happens next?
I think he gives her money, she leaves.
You think, what makes you think that he gave her money and she left?
Well, she left, I don't know, they exchanged some words, he gave her some money and she left.
Did you see how much money?
No.
And then after she left, what happened?
I gave him oral sex.
Did he ejaculate from the first person giving you oral sex?
No.
When you gave him oral sex that day, was that in the same room where everything had been going on previously?
Yes.
Did he ejaculate after that?
Yes.
And where did the ejaculate go?
On a napkin.
Did you receive money?
Yes.
How much money did you receive?
$40 or $50, about the same amount.
Was there any discussion about when you would see each other again or anything like that?
No, but he had asked me, if you have any friends, bring them over. I know there was one time where he said, he's having friends over, did I want to come over and do stuff for them? And on that I said no, like I wasn't comfortable with that. But he's just telling me like, oh yeah, all your friends do this, I know all your friends. And he's just like, you can bring one of your friends and I'll pay you guys $100 each and to do something for me.
Did anything else happen that day?
I know.
Now, he invited you to bring other people over. Did he have names of people he knew, or did he just...
No.
Just any friends?
Yeah. Yes.
Can you tell us about a time that you did bring a friend over?
Yes.
And when was that?
It was after he asked me to bring a friend. A little, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after.
And what was the name of that friend?
China.
Do you know China's last name?
It starts with an R.
Was China your age, a little bit older? What was she?
She was my age.
And how did you know China?
We lived in the same area. We went to school together.
What did Mr. Davis want you and China to do before you brought her over? Did he tell you what the $100 was for?
No.
So when you went over with China, do you remember how you got there?
We walked or took the bus. I mean, we didn't have a car at the time. Nobody brought us over there. We either walked or took the bus.
We didn't have a license at 13, right?
No.
Safe to say China didn't have a license either?
Yes.
When you and China went to Mr. Davis's apartment, was it daytime or nighttime?
It was daytime.
Tell me what happens. You knock on the door, he answers, what happens?
So then I introduced them, and he's just like, okay, well, I told her what was going to happen. Well, not everything, but I told her that we would make money, and he told us that we're going to take a shower for him, and We got undressed. We didn't know what to do. We were in the shower, and we were just washing each other while he was jacking off, watching us.
So, when you get in the apartment with China, does he tell you what he wants you guys to do?
Yes.
Okay, and what does he say?
That he wants us to take a shower.
Together?
Yes.
What's the very next thing that happens?
He shows us the bathroom, and we go into the bathroom.
Was the bathroom a standalone bathroom, or was it off a master bedroom, or something different?
It was a little bathroom. It was a small bathroom in the hallway.
So not connected to a bedroom?
No.
Did it appear that there were any other adults present at that apartment when that happened?
No.
Tell me the first thing that happens when you get in the bathroom.
We take off our clothes. He's not there with us. He's preparing himself or whatever. We're just taking off our clothes and waiting for him to come in the bathroom.
When you say preparing himself, what do you mean?
When he comes back with the chair, some Vaseline, and napkins
And where does the chair go?
in front of the shower.
And is it a shower where it has a hard door that you open the glass door? Does it have a curtain or
Curtain.
something? Who turns on the water?
Me. I don't know which one. Me. One of us turned on the water. I don't remember.
And after you turn on the water, do both you and China get in? Does
Yes.
just one of you? And what happens after you get in?
When we're standing there, we don't know what to do. So he tells us, okay, wash each other. And we're washing each other until he jacks off on his neck.
When he comes into the bathroom, what is he wearing?
Nothing.
Not a towel, not anything?
No.
When you were in the shower, you said you were washing each other's bodies.
Yes.
So does that mean you are touching China's body?
Yes.
Is China touching your body?
Yes.
What areas of your body are being touched?
Everywhere. We're just washing each other.
Okay. Breasts?
Yes.
Okay, what about your genital area?
We didn't like wash each other's general area, but like maybe outside of it, yes.
What did Mr. Davis ask you to do anything specific while you were in the shower and he was in there masturbating?
No, just to wash each other.
But you both touched each other's unclothed bodies?
Yes.
Do you know how long you were in the shower?
About 5-6 minutes until he finished jacking off, ejaculating.
And you said that was into a napkin?
Yes.
Where did the napkin go?
In the trash.
After he had ejaculated and cleaned out, threw away the napkin, what's the next thing that happened?
We got dressed. He went out, closed the door, we got dressed, and went out and he gave us money.
I take it he always gave you cash.
Yes.
How much did he give you?
$100.
Did he give China money?
Yes.
How much did he give China?
$100.
Did he talk to you about whether or not it was okay to tell anything?
No.
So other than that first time, did he talk to you about whether it was okay to tell anything?
No.
After he gave you the $100, what happened next?
He dropped us off at a shopping center down the street.
Was it his car?
Yes.
Do you remember what kind of car it was?
It was a little black car.
The shopping center down the street, where was that on Nella's? Was
Yes, it was on Charleston and Ellis.
Do you remember what stores were in there?
We went to Ross,
Who went to Ross?
me and China.
With your $100?
Yes.
Did Mr. Davis say anything to you in the ride from his apartment to the shopping center where the Ross is?
No.
So you think this was just a few weeks after the second time you saw him?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Do you remember another time going over there?
Yes.
Can you tell us about? Tell me
Yes.
about that.
I went over there, it was like midday, and it was the same thing, but this time it was different. I mean, usually when we do this, like, he's touching my breast while I'm giving him oral sex for money. But this time he wanted me to like bend over in like front of his couch, and he's behind me, looking at me, whatever he's doing, and jacking off.
So, that's a lot of information.
Mm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Did oral sex happen that day?
No.
So, speaking about this time where he wanted you to bend over and he was masturbating, in the time frame between when you first met him and when you got violated for your juvie probation, when are we talking about that this time happened?
In the middle.
In the middle? Would this have been after you turned 14?
A little bit after, I believe, yes.
So you said he touched your breasts.
Yes.
I'm going to back you up to the very beginning of this encounter, okay, to make sure I understand everything that happened on this day. So you said it was the middle of the day?
Yes.
Okay, was it a school day, a weekend, or something
I
else?
believe it was a weekend.
And do you know how you ended up going to his house?
No. I just remember being in that living room doing what I was doing, and he was doing what he was doing. That's really like the vague, like that's all I really can remember.
You certainly didn't go home and write down all the details of these things every time they
No.
happened. Okay. Just wait for me to finish, because she's got to take down everything you say. Okay?
Okay.
So you said it was the middle of the day, it was probably a weekend. When you get there, who's at Mr. Davis's apartment?
Just him.
And you mentioned the couch. Is that the same couch in the living room that we've been talking about?
Yes.
When you are bent over the sofa and you said he was...
I wasn't bent over the sofa. I was like in front of the couch, like bent over, like on his carpet.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
I don't know how else to explain it. I wasn't on the sofa, but I was in front of the sofa,
Okay.
like right here, just bent over.
Okay. Did you have your clothes on?
No,
And how did your clothes come off?
I took them off.
Was there a conversation about your clothes coming off?
Yes.
And what was that conversation?
He usually tells me what to do and how he wants things to go, so he told me undress and take everything off.
So you said you're bent over on the carpet in front of the sofa?
Yes.
Okay, so what part of your body is on the carpet?
My knees and my hands.
Your knees and your hands?
Yes.
So are you on all fours?
Yes.
Okay. And he is where?
Behind me.
Okay. When your clothes come off and then you go down to where you're on all fours, does Mr. Davis have his clothes on or no?
No.
What is he doing while you're getting into this position for him?
He brought this little table stand. He put it in front of him. He got undressed. He had his little napkin, his Vaseline, and he did what he was doing.
So you mentioned Vaseline a couple times. Where would the Vaseline go?
On his penis.
And you said he had a napkin set up as well?
Yes.
So while you were down on the floor, on your hands and knees, and he's masturbating, did he ejaculate?
Yes.
And where did that go?
On a napkin.
Did any part of your body get touched that day?
Not that day.
Because you mentioned earlier your breasts would get touched. Did that happen on that day or different?
A different day.
So what you just told us about, is that one of the last things you remember?
No.
No. Okay. So you were 14.
Every occasion that I went over there, it was me giving him oral sex. The only two things that were different on those different occasions were me in China showering and me bent over in front of the couch.
Was there another time before you turned 14 that you remember going over there to give him oral sex?
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
I went over there, gave him oral sex. That's what it was.
Well, a little more than that. You talked about the first time,
Yes,
and then the second time was a few weeks later,
yes,
and then you went with China a few weeks later.
yes,
So, are you talking about a time after that?
yes.
Okay, would it have been still in the summer? Would school have started?
In the summer,
Do you remember how you got there?
I walked.
How far was it to walk from your house to his apartment?
Not too far, maybe like 10 miles.
10 miles?
Well, it's like not that far. It's like a few streets, like few streetlights down.
Your Honor, can I hear that again? Did you say 10 miles?
Did you say 10 miles?
I did, yes.
Okay.
So is there a difference between a few streetlights and 10 miles?
Well, I'm guessing that's how far. I don't know, like, cause I've walked 30 miles before, so I'm like trying to like chop
So
it up
you're-
to where I think it's like 10 miles, but it's probably not. But it's just, excuse me.
So you said it's probably not that far?
Yeah, it's probably not that far. I was just trying to guess.
Well, I don't want you to guess.
Okay,
How long would it usually take you to walk over there?
about 20 minutes.
Did you walk over there on that day?
Jack,
Yeah,
Your Honor, did she say she walked 10 miles in 20 minutes? I didn't hear it. Was it two? I didn't hear it.
Mr. Davis, she just said it took her about 20 minutes.
Okay. Because it's going so fast, Your Honor. I didn't hear it.
Is that usually the amount of time it would take you, Ms. Robinson, to walk over there? as
yes,
much? So however far it was, it took 20 minutes.
yes,
When you got over, you said it was midday, is that right?
yes.
Tell me what happens when you get over there.
I get over there, like, he already knows when I'm there for one reason, is to give him oral sex for money. So when he comes to the door, he's already like in his boxers, no shirt on, and I give him, he sits on the couch, he takes off his pants, I give him oral sex, and he gives me money.
How does he know why you're coming over there?
Because each time I go over there and give him oral sex for money.
Okay, but, so do you talk to him before you go over there?
Not all the time, no, I didn't all the time. Sometimes I just popped up over there.
How about this time that we're talking about? Did you communicate on Facebook, or did
No,
you?
I don't think I did, no.
You don't think you did?
No,
Was it always the same amount of money?
yes,
In the course of these things going on, did other parts of your body get touched?
yes.
Can you tell me about one of those times?
My vagina,
Okay. And when did that happen?
on one of the occasions that I was giving him oral sex,
On one of the ones you've already told me about, or a different one?
a different one.
Can you tell me about that different one?
That one he was touching my breast and he was touching my vagina while I was giving him oral sex.
Okay, and what was he using to touch your vagina?
His hand,
And was the skin of his hand touching the skin of your vagina?
yes,
So you told us about the first two times, you told us about China, you told us about that other time. You say this was another time that you were giving him oral sex and he touched your vagina?
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
yes,
So was that after the last time that you told me about, or in the middle?
yes, it was after.
It was after. So if the last one was still during the summer, before school started, was this still in the summer? Was it after school started? Was it something different?
It was in the summer, like right at the end of summer.
What time of day was that one?
It was during the day.
Any other part of your body get touched?
My breast,
And what did he use to touch your breast?
his hand,
Okay, did the skin of his hand touch the skin of your breast?
yes,
Did it stay still, move around, or something different?
move around,
And if I didn't ask you that, same, did his hand stay still, move around, or something different when he touched your vagina?
no, I just stayed still.
Did he give you money on that occasion?
Yes.
Do you remember when you went on juvenile probation?
Do I remember when I went to juvenile?
When you started juvenile probation? Do you remember when that was?
I was 14 when I started, when I was on probation.
Was it, so it was after you turned 14?
That I was on probation? Yes.
So it would have been after January 1st of 2015, is that correct?
Yes.
When you were on juvenile probation, did you have restrictions?
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
I couldn't use social media.
Okay, anything else?
No. Well, I was on house arrest on a few occasions, home management. Other than that.
Okay. So home management, what does that mean?
Home management, you're not on an ankle bracelet, but people do, the officers do come and check on you.
And did that happen to you after you were on probation, that the officers came to check on you?
Yes,
And would they check on you at home or at school or something different?
at home.
So would it have been about the middle of the school year of 2014 and 15 that you went on probation?
Yes,
After the Christmas break and after your vacation?
yes.
How
Yeah,
long?
our objections, you can give them dates.
Okay,
She can't give dates and then she says, oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay. So, when you say objection, can you tell me specifically which part, because we were going kind of quick right there.
She's saying, she's giving her years and dates, and she's just saying yes. I think she should be able to give the years and dates herself. I mean,
Yeah, we laid the foundation as to when she went on juvenile probation and just leaving that.
So I would agree with that. So, overruled. Go ahead, Ms. Collins.
How many months of the second half of that school year were you on home management? Do you remember?
No, I was on home management on several occasions. So like I was on home management for like maybe a month, and I got in trouble, and they let me back out. I'll be on home management again, and then I'll get in trouble. They let me back out, and I'll get on house arrest, which was an ankle bracelet.
During the time you were on home management or house arrest on the ankle bracelet, were you visiting Mr. Davis?
Yes, on home management. I couldn't go anywhere on the ankle bracelet.
Can you tell me when you started home management?
I started home management when I was 14.
Do you know when you went on house arrest?
House arrest, I was 14.
You said you continued to see Mr. Davis only on home management, not on house arrest.
Yes.
Were you on house arrest when you got violated for your probation?
I was on home management when I got violated for my probation.
Can you tell me the time frame that you were on house arrest?
Like maybe a couple months.
So that's how long? Can you tell me like about when it started and about when it ended, if you remember?
I don't recall. I'm sorry.
Was it after you got on probation?
Yes.
Was it during the school year?
Yes.
So when you were on house arrest during the school year, then what could you do during the day?
When I was on the ankle bracelet,
Yes.
I went to school. If I had any classes that the judge ordered, I would go to those and go home.
So for those couple months, you did not see Mr. Davis?
No, after I got off of home management, like I wasn't eligible for home management anymore. They had put me on the bracelet. I have not had any contact with Mr. Davis.
Did you continue to communicate? When you say contact, do you mean face-to-face contact or do you mean messaging?
Both.
Did you, while you were on house arrest, did you continue to talk to him on Facebook, using anybody else's phone, anybody else's media that you had access to?
No.
Have you asked Mr. Davis for any money so that you would not come forward about this case?
No.
I want to talk to you about your probation. Your probation got revoked, is that right?
Yes.
When you were going in for the probation revocation, do you remember when that was?
I'm sorry, what does revoke mean?
What's that?
Revoke means like it got,
Let me say it another way. Did you get picked up because you did something wrong on probation and go to Clark County Juvenile Hall?
yes.
Okay. And when did that happen?
It happened when I was 14.
Do you remember what month of that year?
It was like July, June, July
Of 2015?
15.
And when you went into juvenile custody at the Clark County Juvenile Hall, how long were you there?
I was there for 3 months.
I want to talk about a lady named Esther Brown. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
Tell me how you met Esther Brown.
She has a organization called the Embracing Project, and she works with at-risk youth. And she comes into the juvenile every Wednesday. I don't know if she does now, but she used to when I was going there. She would come in every Wednesday. She would have a class with the girls, and she did counseling. And she did counseling with people that she knew from the outside and new people that she knew from the inside.
So, other than China being with you during this, did you tell anybody else about what was going on
No.
with Mr. Davis?
I just told Miss Esther
And when did you tell Ms. Esther?
when I was in juvenile.
When you told Ms. Esther, was that something you told her in a group or in private?
It was in confidentiality.
Okay, so tell me about that meeting. Tell me.
She just said, have you ever done anything for money? Has anybody ever done anything to you sexually that you would like to talk about? And then I told her about this.
Did you tell her, so when she said, has anybody ever done anything to you sexually, was she talking to a group of kids?
She was talking to me.
Okay. And just you and her alone?
Yes.
Had you sought out to speak to her alone, or how did you end up alone?
I don't remember. I don't recall.
Okay.
I just remember sitting in the room with her, talking to her about this.
And when she asked you that question, what did you tell her?
I told her, I told her what I was doing, and I was making money. And she's like, do you know this guy's name? And I gave her the name.
Why were you telling that to Esther Brown?
I was just thinking it was in confidentiality, you know, somebody to vent to, you know.
So you said you thought it was in confidentiality. What did you think, if you thought it was in confidentiality?
Like, I thought she was just talking to me, like, to, you know, my feelings about, like a counselor would, a mental health counselor or something.
So when you told her, what did you think would happen with that information?
Nothing.
Did you think that she might contact the police, or did you know any of that was going to happen?
No, I didn't.
While you were in juvenile detention at or near this time that you spoke to Esther, were you talking to Ray Davis?
No.
Were you sending any information to Ray through anyone at that time that you needed money or wanted money from him at that time?
No.
Okay. So, after you told Esther, what's the very next thing that happened?
Nothing. I just went back into the day room, and I was locked up, so we didn't really go anywhere.
Esther didn't get you out of juvenile detention, did she?
Oh, no. I had got sentenced to Caliente.
After you told Esther, did you have to talk to a police officer?
Yes, detectives had came and talked to me.
And they recorded what you had to say?
Yes.
And where did that happen?
In an interview room.
Where?
In booking.
At juvenile hall?
Yes.
And after you talked to, how many days was it between when you talked to Esther and talked to the detective? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Was it long?
When I talked to with Esther, I was like a level 1. So when they came, I was level. So I was like maybe a month or 2.
Okay. So you stayed in juvenile hall after you talked to Miss Esther, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you stay in juvenile hall after you talked to the detective?
Yes.
Did anybody release you from juvenile hall after you told about Mr. Davis?
No.
So you mentioned that you went to Caliente. When did you go to Caliente?
I went to Caliente September. I believe it was 2015. Yeah, 2015.
Was it the same year that you talked to Miss Esther and the police? That you went to Caliente?
Yes.
Did you stay in Caliente for a while?
Yes. I was in Caliente for 10 months.
So if you went in September of 2015, when did you get out?
I got out in the summer, like June, July of the next year.
Of 2016?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
During your time in there, did you talk to Mr. Davis?
No.
Did you make any requests to Mr. Davis for money?
No.
Any communication about making statements to law enforcement or anything like that with Mr. Davis?
No. When I was in Caliente, they had a lineup, but that was it.
So while you were in Caliente, you looked at a photo lineup.
Yes.
Do you know who showed you that photo lineup? Do you remember?
No.
When you first made your disclosure about Mr. Davis, what did you know about him other than his name was Ray Davis?
That was it. I mean, he told me that he had a wife in California. He would drive to California back and forth, and that was it.
Did you know what he did for a living?
He gambled.
Did he tell you that?
Yes.
Do you know what kind of gambling he did?
Online.
And first the clerk, it's going to be state's proposal to, yeah, it hasn't been opened, it's going to have to be opened. Your Honor, at this time, I'm going to ask the photo lineup that was conducted by Ms. Robinson be marked as 2A, and I'll have it shown to the defendant as state's proposed 2A. Which is
So we'll mark the document that Marshall Kelly is presenting Vanessa with as 2A when it gets back to you. And then I see that there's 2 documents in there. Is that just a duplicate?
No, ma'am, that is a separate document impounded in States 2
Okay.
by the detective, so it's not for Ms. Robinson.
Okay, but just we keep the, let's mark that one as 2B.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay, so I apologize. So Vanessa is now looking at 2A, and go ahead, Ms. Collins.
Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
Could you flip through everything that's attached to it and let the ladies and gentlemen of the jury know how you recognize that?
I'm sorry.
And we're going to let them know how it is that you recognize what you're looking at?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm done with
How is it that you recognize what I've given you?
that. I circled the picture of Mr. Davis. That was the lineup.
Is that a photo lineup that was shown to you while you were in Caliente?
Yes.
And did you, you said you circled a picture of Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Did you also complete a handwritten sheet
Yes.
with your signature?
Yes.
And that is the original of the items that you filled out?
Yes.
State would move for the admission of 2A.
Mr. Davis, any objections, sir?
No, no.
All right, so that'll be admitted into evidence. Just as 2A, they, 2B. And then So, does anyone, Mr. Davis, do you have an objection to 2 with the envelope being?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. So 2 will also be accepted. 2 and 2 out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I want to go back and talk to you about a couple of things, Vanessa. When you first got in trouble the middle of the year, like right after your 14th birthday, do you remember that?
Like when I got out, when,
When you got on probation, is that yes, you remember
Yes.
that? Okay. The thing that prompted you to get on probation, were you arrested for that?
yes,
Do you remember when you were arrested for that?
like the date,
Just a time frame. Was it before you turned 14 or,
it was while I was 14 that I got arrested.
okay, so you were arrested while you were 14 and got placed on probation while you were 14.
Yes, everything happened.
Do you recall talking about a time with Mr. Davis that happened just before you were arrested?
Do I recall a time talking to him?
No. Do you recall talking about a time where there was an exchange of
Oh,
money for oral sex with Mr. Davis just before you were arrested?
yes,
Okay. Do you remember when that was?
no,
Do you remember if it was when you were 14 or 13? The time just before you were arrested?
I was 14.
So was there actually then an incident of oral sex with Mr. Davis when you were 14?
Yes,
Okay. If it was not long before you were arrested, can you tell me, like, was it cold outside then? Can you tell me anything about that date?
no, I remember just going over there for money for oral sex.
Anything about that last time that I'm talking to you about that's any different from any of the other times?
No,
On any of these occasions, was anyone home
no,
with Mr. Davis?
no,
Did he take any phone calls from anyone while you were there?
no,
Did you have a lip piercing back then?
yes,
How old were you when you had a lip piercing?
14,
You got it when you were 14?
yes,
Did Mr. Davis make any commentary about your lip piercing?
yes.
What did he tell you?
He said he didn't like it.
Who's Adrian?
Adriana,
Adriana, excuse me.
she's an old friend.
And what's her last name?
Walker,
Was there a time where she went over Mr. Davis's with you?
yes.
When was that?
It was before I was 14.
It was before you were 14?
Yes,
How did you and Adriana get over there?
we got a ride from her grandpa,
From who?
her grandfather.
And where did it start out at, and how did you get the ride?
Well, her grandfather usually like gave us rides like wherever we wanted to go. Like we'd be like, "Can you take us here?" He'd be like, "Sure." Like we didn't tell him where we were going, what we were doing. Just like, "Can you take us here?"
So did that start out at Adriana's house, or did that start out at your house?
Adriana's,
And you said her grandfather took you, where did he drop you off?
in the apartments.
Did you or Adriana in your presence tell Grandpa where you were going?
No,
What did you guys tell him you were doing?
we didn't tell him what we were doing.
Was that during the school year or in the summer, or something different?
In the summer,
Was it daytime or nighttime when you got over there?
it was like daytime going towards the night.
What happened when you got there?
Adriana didn't know what I was doing with him, so she didn't know anything about it. When we went over there for marijuana and alcohol.
Was that something that you would routinely get from Mr. Davis?
Yes, marijuana, not alcohol, but marijuana, yes.
So Adriana thought you were just going over there to grab some weed?
Yes.
And what happened when you got there?
When we got there, we sat on his couch, and he gave us weed, we smoked, and we were drinking, and she had fell asleep. And she went to his back room and went to sleep. And I was going to give him oral sex. Well, I gave him oral sex in exchange for money while she was asleep.
Did he make a request of both you and Adriana about showering?
No.
Did Adriana go over there one time or more than one time?
One time.
Was there any discussion about the exchange of oral sex for money in front of Adriana before she went to sleep?
No.
Why didn't you tell Adriana what was going on over there?
I didn't want to tell her
Why?
because, I don't know, I just didn't want to.
Was that before or after you went over with China?
That was after.
Did China ever go back there with you again?
No.
Did Mr. Davis ever wear a condom during any of these incidents?
No.
Do you know what was the nature of his pubic?
He didn't have any.
Could you tell why that was? Like whether it was shaved?
It was shaved.
Was that all the time?
Yes.
When you would go to Mr. Davis's house, would you ever tell anyone where you were going?
No.
Did you ever tell your mom?
No.
Did you ever tell, other than when you took China over there and Adriana over there, did you ever tell anybody else you were going?
No.
Why didn't you do that?
I don't know.
How did you feel about what was going on?
Everything's a blur. Like my thoughts, what happened, I remember, but what was going through my head at the time, I don't recall.
Were you proud of what was going on?
No.
Did you know how old Mr. Davis was?
No.
In 7th grade, did you go to Keller Middle School?
Yes.
Did you go to any other middle schools?
Yes.
What was the other one again?
Delage Robinson. Delage Robinson.
Okay. Vanessa, after you talk to the detectives, you had to come to court, is that right? You had to come to court before for this case?
No, not until now.
Okay. Well, you went to a different court and talked about what happened in this case before, correct?
Not in court. To detectives, yes.
Do you remember a probable cause hearing where?
I object, Your Honor. She keeps telling me no, and she keeps more leading her to say yes.
So
She's
for,
leading.
so for clarification purposes,
Clarification.
I'm gonna overrule it in regards to what you were saying about probable cause hearing. Go ahead.
Do you remember being at a previous hearing in May of 2019?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So was that in the same building?
Yes.
And then you, a couple weeks ago, you had to go talk to another group of people about this case. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So from the beginning, when you told Esther to, today when you're in here in court, have you filed any civil case against Mr. Davis?
No.
Have you consulted an attorney to get any money?
No.
Have you talked to any of the other people involved in this case in any effort to get any money out of Mr. Davis?
No.
Pass the witness.
Thank you.